My name is Ethan. I'm 28 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the invisible son. Not literally invisible, of course. But in my parents' eyes, my younger brother Mason has always outshined me, even when he did nothing to deserve it. I've been the one with the steady job, the bills paid on time, and the dreams built brick by brick. Mason has been the one with excuses, with reckless adventures, with an endless supply of second chances. My car became the breaking point. It wasn't a luxury car, nothing anyone would look twice at. Just a silver Honda Civic I bought used 3 years ago. I worked double shifts at a hardware store, skipped vacations, and lived lean to save enough money. That car was my independence. My freedom. The one thing I could point to and proudly say, I earned this. My parents never praised me for it. They never came outside when I detailed it in the driveway. They never asked how much sacrifice it took to buy. But Mason? If he so much as washed a dish, Mom would clap like he won a gold medal. Dad would pat him on the back like he'd cured cancer. It's been like this since we were kids. When I got straight A's, Dad said, "Don't get cocky." When Mason flunked math, Mom baked cookies to cheer him up. By the time I turned 20, I had already accepted my role in the family. The responsible one. The boring one. The one who never caused drama. I kept my head down. I stayed out of fights. I told myself it wasn't worth it. But then came that Saturday morning. It was barely 6 a.m. when I heard the sound of my car engine roaring to life. At first, I thought I was dreaming. But then I heard Mason's voice, loud and cocky, drifting through my window. "Let's go, boys." I jolted out of bed and ran to the window. There he was, in the driver's seat of my Civic, 3 of his buddies piling into the back. They were laughing, tossing bags into the trunk like it was their personal ride. My heart pounded. I threw on a hoodie and stormed outside. "Mason, what the hell are you doing?" He leaned back in the driver's seat, smirking. "Relax, bro. We're just taking your car for the weekend. Beach trip. You don't need it, right?" My fists clenched. "You're not taking my car. Get out." His friends chuckled in the back seat. One of them muttered, "Dude, chill. It's just a car." I yanked on the driver's side handle, but Mason hit the lock button. He grinned at me through the glass. "Don't be selfish, Ethan. We'll bring it back in one piece." That was when Mom appeared at the front door. Coffee mug in hand, robe tied loosely around her waist, like this was all normal. "Ethan, stop making a scene," she called. My jaw dropped. "Mason's stealing my car." She shook her head, sipping her coffee. "He just wants to have some fun. You're always so uptight about that car. Let your brother live a little." The words hit harder than a punch. Let your brother live a little. As if my blood, sweat, and years of saving didn't matter. As if my car belonged to all of them, not me. Mason smirked wider, enjoying her support. "See? Mom gets it." The laughter from his friends grated in my ears. I took a deep breath, trying to control my voice. "If he takes this car off the driveway, I'm calling the cops." The smirk faltered for the first time. His friends exchanged uneasy glances. Mom's face hardened. "You wouldn't dare," she snapped. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking with rage. "I already am." The laughter stopped. Mason's eyes widened. "You're bluffing." I wasn't. I dialed the non-emergency line, gave them my license plate, and reported my car stolen. When I lowered the phone, Mason's grin was gone. Mom stormed down the steps, fury blazing in her eyes. "Ethan! How dare you do this to your own brother?" My chest heaved. "He's not my brother right now. He's a thief. Her voice cracked like a whip. You've always been jealous of him. You can't stand to see him happy. I laughed bitterly. Jealous? He's trying to steal from me, and you're cheering him on. Dad's voice came from the hallway. What's going on out here? Finally, I thought, someone reasonable. But when Dad stepped outside, Mom was quick to speak first. Ethan's threatening to call the police on Mason. Over a car. Dad's eyes narrowed at me. You really need to stop being so controlling, Ethan. Family comes first. The phrase made me sick. Family comes first. Except when it came to me. Except when I was the one asking for respect. I stared at them all, the parents who never believed in me, the brother who thought he owned me, the friends snickering like this was free entertainment. And in that moment, something inside me broke. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to remember. Every slight. Every dismissal. Every time they made me feel like I didn't matter. And I was going to use it. Not with fists. Not with yelling. But with silence. With boundaries. With a future so far from them that they'd choke on the distance. For now, though, I just stared Mason down until he sighed and killed the engine. Fine, he muttered, tossing the keys onto the dashboard. You're such a buzzkill. His friends groaned, climbing out of the car. Mom glared at me like I'd ruined Christmas. Dad shook his head with disappointment. And Mason? He just walked past me, muttering under his breath. This isn't over. I knew he was right. It wasn't over. It was only the beginning. The week after the driveway showdown, the house felt like a battlefield. Mom barely spoke to me except for little jabs about being selfish. Dad avoided me, retreating into the TV like always. Mason strutted around with smug silence, like he was plotting his next move. I thought maybe things would calm down. But I underestimated them. One Friday night, I came home exhausted from work. I parked my Civic carefully in the driveway, locked the doors, and brought the keys straight to my room. I wasn't taking chances. But the next morning, when I opened my curtains, my stomach dropped. The driveway was empty. My car was gone. Panic surged through me. I ripped through my room, searching for the lanyard I had left on my desk. It was missing. My chest tightened as realization sank in. Someone had taken my keys. I stormed into the kitchen. Mom was humming while flipping pancakes. Where's Mason? I demanded. She didn't even flinch. He's out with friends, she said calmly. My voice cracked. Out? In what? Because my car isn't here. She turned slowly, spatula in hand, and said the words that broke me. Don't overreact, Ethan. He borrowed it. He promised to bring it back Sunday. My pulse thundered. You went into my room. You took my keys. Her eyes narrowed. Don't yell at me in my house. I'm his mother. And yours. If you won't help your brother, then I will. The betrayal stung sharper than any insult Mason had ever thrown. She hadn't just dismissed me. She had invaded my space, stripped away the one thing I thought was safe. Dad wandered in, rubbing his eyes. What's the problem now? Mom's tone softened instantly. Ethan's upset because Mason borrowed his car. He's being dramatic again. Dad sighed. You really need to loosen up. Mason's just a kid having fun. Quit being so controlling. That word again. Controlling. I felt like I was choking. I ran back to my room, fists clenched, heart pounding. My sanctuary wasn't mine anymore. They had crossed a line I couldn't forgive. The rest of the weekend was agony. Every time I heard tires outside, I rushed to the window. But the driveway stayed empty. Texts went unanswered. Calls went to voicemail. Mom shrugged it off like it was nothing. "Stop pacing like a madman," she scolded. Dad muttered, "You need to be a better brother." By Sunday night, I felt hollow. The car wasn't just transportation, it was a symbol of everything I had built on my own. And they had handed it over like it meant nothing. Monday morning, I finally saw it in the driveway. Relief hit for a second before rage swallowed it whole. The bumper was scraped. The headlight cracked. The interior reeked of cigarettes. Fast food wrappers and muddy footprints covered the back seat. My Civic looked violated. Mason strolled up behind me, sunglasses perched on his head. "Relax, man," he said, grinning. "It's just a couple scratches. No big deal. You should have seen the girls in this ride, though. Chick magnet." My throat tightened. I didn't speak. I just stared at the damage. Mom appeared at the door, smiling at Mason. "Did you have a good time, sweetheart?" Then her smile vanished when she looked at me. "Ethan, wipe that look off your face. It's just a car. Stop sulking." The words cut deeper than the dents in the bumper. At that moment, I knew nothing I said would matter. I could scream, cry, or argue, and they would still make me the villain. So I went silent. I sat in my room that night, staring at the scratched keys on my desk. The car was back, but it wasn't mine anymore. Not really. Because they had made it clear, anything I owned, anything I built, could be taken. I realized something then. I wasn't going to win by fighting. I wasn't going to change their minds. But I could change my life. The next week, I started looking for apartments. I worked extra shifts, skipped outings, and saved every spare dollar. I scrolled listings late into the night, dreaming of four walls where no one would touch my things. A month later, I found it. A small one-bedroom with peeling paint, thin walls, and an outdated kitchen. But it was mine. Signing that lease felt like breathing for the first time. The night I moved in, surrounded by boxes and silence, I felt peace I hadn't known in years. Mason called me 2 days later. "Seriously? You moved out? Couldn't handle Mom giving you crap?" I didn't rise to the bait. "Yeah," I said simply. "And I'm not coming back." He scoffed. "You'll be crawling back when rent eats you alive." But I didn't. Life was harder, yes. Bills stacked up. Groceries drained my wallet. But every problem was mine, and mine alone. And with every paycheck, every bill paid, every night I locked my own door, I felt stronger. At work, I pushed harder. Volunteered for projects. Stayed late. Networked. 3 months in, my boss called me into his office. "Ethan, we've noticed your effort. We'd like to promote you." A raise. A title. Validation. For once, someone saw my hard work and rewarded it. Meanwhile, I fixed the Civic. Every dent, every scratch Mason had left, I repaired. I upgraded it too, new rims, tinted windows, a better sound system. Piece by piece, I reclaimed what was mine. By the time 6 months passed, I barely recognized the life I had left behind. I had a home. A career. A car that gleamed again. And something else too, silence. No more jabs. No more guilt trips. No more being treated like a joke. But that silence, I soon learned, wouldn't last. Because Mason's world was about to fall apart. And for the first time, they would come crawling to me. 6 months after I moved out, the silence finally broke. My phone buzzed with a call from Dad. He never called unless something was wrong. I hesitated before answering. "Ethan," he said stiffly. "We need to talk." Turns out Mason had gotten into trouble again. He'd been pulled over in a friend's car with expired tags, no insurance, and a trunk full of beer. The fines stacked up fast. This time, even my parents couldn't cover for him. And so, naturally, they turned to me. "You've got steady work now," Dad said. "We thought maybe you could help your brother out." The irony nearly made me laugh. The same parents who told me I was selfish. The same brother who stole my car and trashed it. Now they wanted my help. I kept my voice calm. "No," I said flatly. "That's his mess, not mine." There was a pause. Then Dad muttered the words that used to crush me. "I'm disappointed in you." But this time, they barely stung. Because I finally realized something. Their disappointment had no power anymore. I had built my life without them. And now, Mason needed me more than I ever needed him. Over the next few weeks, I started hearing whispers. Mason wasn't just in trouble with fines. He was unemployed again. He quit his last job after 2 months, blaming his boss. He was draining my parents financially. And relatives were beginning to notice. At family gatherings, people asked questions. How was Mason doing? Why was Ethan so distant? And for the first time, Mom's narrative started to crack. She couldn't keep painting Mason as the golden boy while I was quietly succeeding. I didn't brag. I didn't gloat. But word spread anyway. About my promotion. My apartment. My car. Cousins who used to ignore me now asked for advice. Uncles who once lectured me now praised my hard work. And every compliment chipped away at the myth my parents had built. Mason noticed too. One night, I got a text from him. "You think you're better than me? Just because you've got some desk job and a crappy apartment?" I didn't reply. I didn't need to. His insecurity spoke louder than my silence ever could. Then came the wedding. A cousin was getting married, and for once, I decided to go. I showed up in a tailored suit I bought with my bonus. My Civic gleamed outside, freshly detailed. Inside, relatives swarmed me with congratulations. They asked about my job, my apartment, my life. Mason was there too. He slouched in a wrinkled shirt, sulking at the corner table. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. Mom tried to defend him. "He's just been going through a lot," she said. But one uncle cut in. "Well, it looks like Ethan's doing great. You must be proud." For the first time in my life, Mom had no words. Her golden boy sat in silence. Her narrative shattered in front of everyone. I didn't need to raise my voice. I didn't need to fight. I didn't need to prove anything. I just lived. And that was enough. In the weeks after, the silence from my parents grew heavier. They stopped calling. Stopped texting. Not out of love, but out of shame. Mason, however, wasn't done. 1 month later, he showed up at my apartment. He looked rough. Thinner. Exhausted. Desperate. He leaned against the doorframe, eyes darting nervously. "Ethan," he muttered. "Come on, man. You've got money now. Help me out." It was almost surreal. The brother who once smirked as he stole my car was now begging at my door. I kept my tone even. "No, Mason. You made your choices. Now live with them." His face twisted. "You're really gonna let me sink?" I looked him in the eye. "You let me sink every day in that house. This isn't revenge. This is me being done." He muttered something bitter and walked away. That was the last time he came to my door. As for my parents, they faded into the background of my life. Occasionally, I'd hear through relatives that Mom still defended Mason. But no one believed her anymore. The truth was too obvious. Their golden child had fallen. And the sun they dismissed had risen. It wasn't explosive. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Irreversible. Their favoritism had consequences. And they were finally living with them. I, on the other hand, kept moving forward. My career grew. I traveled. I built a life entirely my own. Every success carried the sweet satisfaction of knowing it was despite them, not because of them. One evening, I sat in my car at a red light. I glanced at the rearview mirror. For the first time, I didn't see anger. I didn't see resentment. I saw peace. The light turned green. I pressed the gas. The Civic hummed beneath me. Mine. And mine alone. I wasn't running from their shadows anymore. I was leaving them behind. Forever.